Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 121 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Hey, welcome back to us.
Whoa. We've never taken this long of a hiatus.
2 weeks, it seemed way long.
It did.
To me.
It really did.
Yeah,
Like this almost feels weird.
It almost does. It's good to be back.
It is. It's great to be back.
Good to be back here in Compassion and Cucumbers Studios, a.k.a.
Our living room.
And it's good to be talking to you again because, wow, 2 weeks. I hope everybody had a fantastic holiday season.
Oh, yes.
And a good new year.
Mm-hmm. All the things.
We do have a lot to talk about, seeing how we haven't talked to you in over 2 weeks. So we should probably, keep the rambling to a minimum. And if that's possible,
I think we can manage
and get into the substance of the show.
Absolutely.
But before we do that, we would like to let you know what we've been up to over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, we had a somewhat abbreviated festive season.
An abbreviated festive season
because the day after Christmas, I picked up and went to London with a group of 11 students and a colleague of mine.
Uh-huh.
And we did what is referred to as a J-term study abroad course, which was really wonderful. The course was focused on London theater. So it was fantastic. We went and we saw so many shows. Many shows. Yes, it was ridiculous. And they were all spectacular. The quality of the theater that is going on in the UK is so high as to almost be like speechless making.
Yeah, I mean, if you are a fan of live theater, you gotta check out
London because it really is incredible, and not just in terms of the acting. Of course, the acting is very, very strong, but they're doing a lot in terms of work in alternative spaces. They're doing a lot in terms of devised theater, not just kind of the standards that we're used to. Things being on a proscenium stage,
right?
With kind of that fourth wall separation. There are shows that are just completely doing away with that. I mean, the run of Guys and Dolls that we saw, we were actually in the immersive standing section of the audience, and the set kept changing because of these platforms that were coming up out of the floor, and you could just walk around. Like, as the set changed, you could shift your position to be closest to the action if you were so inclined.
That is so cool.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
So really just brilliant scenic designs and masterful direction, really inspired. So that was fantastic. And of course, when a trip to London happens, so does some serious food investigation.
Yeah, before you start in on the food, I just have to say I would be lying if I didn't tell you I was completely jealous of all the theater you got to see.
Yeah.
And of all the food. So what kind of food did you have?
Oh my gosh, so much food. And fortunately, I didn't get to go everywhere that I wanted to go.
But, it always turns out that way.
It always turns out that way. But that means that, yes, I've done some recon on some places that we wanted to go back in November and didn't get to. Mm-hmm. But also that there are still some places on that list that we still get to experience on our next trip.
That's good. That's good that you didn't experience it all, but without me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and luckily, you were in good health throughout this trip.
Completely.
Right?
Yes. Start to finish, no health issues whatsoever.
Yay.
I did slightly injure my left hip by taking the 528 steps straight upwards into the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral.
Right.
Yeah,
not really injured, just strained it.
Just strained, yeah. Injured is an overstatement, but yeah, a little bit strained because my left knee is my bad knee, so when the knee gets tired, the hip works harder. And,
and that's a lot of steps.
That's a lot of steps, and let me tell you, they were narrow and steep and twisty-turny, and it was crazy.
I'm not so sure I'd want to do that.
As I was doing it, I was thinking it would not be your cup of tea.
The coming down might have been an issue for me.
Yeah, I think you would have started to feel a little dizzy.
I get like vertigo-ish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the downward spiral would not have...
It would have been definitely a downward
It would have been
spiral.
very literal, yes.
Yeah.
So I was thinking as I was doing it, actually, that would not have been your thing.
Yeah, it's tough when you have the tendency for vertigo or anything like that with heights, because you want to do it.
Right.
But the fear of like getting up there and then having like a panic attack or something on the way down actually is panic inducing enough than actually doing it. And you don't want to be like a big downer for the people that you're with and all that, like, have somebody carry you down or something. Anyway.
Well, no, I mean, seriously, I was impressed enough that, the last time we were in the UK, you did the tree walk at Kew Gardens. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was neat.
And that you stood on the glass floor of Tower Bridge.
I did that.
That was pretty cool. So, impressed with that. But yeah, as I was doing the dome, I was like, I don't think Pookie'd be into this.
It's not really the height. It's the sensation that I might fall.
Oh, I get it.
So in a situation like that where, I know what those narrow, I've been in enough castles to know what that spiral staircase is like. And they made them narrow like that. So people with swords couldn't come up and do things. So they're very narrow, kind of claustrophobic inducing. And not only is it narrow, width wise, but the steps themselves are not like as big as your feet.
Yes.
In most cases.
Yes, that is true to a certain degree. And also in some places, the ceilings are also very, very low.
Yeah.
So I might be of slightly above average height, but I am not officially tall.
Right.
But I felt ginormous. Like I felt...
Like you had to hunch
I
over.
felt like I had to. It wasn't like I felt like I had to. I actually had to.
Did they at least have a railing?
Yes, there were railings in most parts of it.
As long as there was a railing, I bet I could do it.
Yeah.
As long as I had something to hang on to.
Yeah.
But enough about my phobias. What else?
Okay. So anyway, starting with the food. All right. So first of all, our first night there, we didn't go out to eat at all because everybody was just kind of exhausted.
Whooped from the trip.
From the flight, we were a bit whooped, yes. But we did do a little bit of grocery shopping at our local Tesco.
I like to call that trip whooped.
Trip whooped?
I don't know.
I'm confused by that, but okay.
Continue.
So we did a little bit of shopping at our local Tesco. We were staying in the Farringdon area of town, and I was super, super happy to see that, unsurprisingly, this little tiny Tesco had some really wonderful vegan options that we don't generally have here. So there was a Bombay potato and spinach pasty. Okay, so of course that's like a flaky pastry dough that has spinach and potato curry on the inside, which was really lovely. And that came from a company called Ginsters. And then we had also from Walls, they had a vegan sausage roll. And we all know that vegan sausage rolls are just awesome. And they had some beautiful prepared sandwiches and some lovely soups, one of which I spilled all over my pants in the Tesco.
Yeah, at one point, Sam and I were FaceTiming. She was showing me the apartment that she was staying in. And she's like, in here, I'm like drying some clothes. She's like, oh, that soup didn't come out of my pants. I'm like, what soup? How did you get soup on your pant leg?
I dropped soup in the Tesco. It just flew everywhere. But they had a beautiful carrot and coriander soup, which I believe is the one I got on my pants. And then a lovely roasted sweet potato, coconut, and chili soup.
Yeah. And if you follow our social medias, I did share pictures of all that stuff. Sam was really good about taking pictures along the way of foods and things that she had found. And I was sharing them on our social media. So if you haven't seen them and you want to see pictures of all this lovely stuff she got at the Tesco, just go to our Instagram or Facebook page and the pictures are all up there.
Yep. And then we also found spicy coconut and rice noodles. So similar to like a top ramen, that kind of thing, but elevated. That came from Wicked Kitchen. And then, of course, our favorite UK treat, Jammy Dodgers.
Yeah, and Sam brought me back some Jammy Dodgers because even though you can get them locally, at least where we are, we can get them at Wegmans supermarket in their international aisle. They're not the same.
They're not.
They don't taste the same at all. I don't know if they're made specifically for the American market or what.
Probably.
But they don't taste the same at all.
They don't.
So we had tea and jammy Dodgers last night, and it was very delightful.
Yes. So the first restaurant meal I had in the UK was at an old favorite of mine, Wagamama. And
Wagamama. If we're anywhere where there is a Wagamama, we're going to Wagamama.
We are.
Sam is just like, Wagamama.
I do. I love Wagamama. I fell in love with Wagamama when I was in Cardiff for a couple of months several years ago. And it was the first restaurant that my host took me to. And the food was just beautiful. And I fell in love with it. And that was pre-veganism. And so now I'm super pleased that Wagamama is constantly kind of revising their menu and offering more and more vegan selections. And so, of course, I had to try some of them.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Wagamama is a Japanese fusion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's absolutely beautiful food. Yes, it's a global chain. Most of the outlets are in the UK, but there are some in Canada, and there are a few in the US. There are 3 in New York City, one of which we will be going to in the not too distant future.
Yeah, February.
Yes. But this Wagamama was the Wagamama right across from the Tower of London. So this is the Tower Hill location. And so I started my meal with the Bang Bang cauliflower, which is not fried. It's stir-fried cauliflower. So this is not deep-fried cauliflower. So a stir-fried cauliflower.
How spicy was that?
Delightfully spicy, but not so spicy that you would have had trouble with it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think you would thoroughly enjoy the Bang Bang cauliflower. And then I also got the Yasai gyoza ramen.
That looked, and again, pictures of all this stuff are up on our social media. If you want to drool over some of it, that ramen with the gyoza in it looked so good.
Well, I mean, all I had to say was gyoza and ramen in the same dish.
In the same dish, yeah.
That's it. Like, that's perfection.
It's beautiful
for me. And it was absolutely beautiful. And the server who took our order warned me that it was a little bit spicy. And I'm like, that's great. And she suggested a snow onion slaw to complement it, to kind of bring the heat down a little bit. And even though I didn't find the dish to be particularly spicy, the snow onion slaw was a beautiful accompaniment. So glad that I got it because, you know, I'm a sucker for a good slaw.
We've heard.
Yes. Okay. Then for dessert, my colleague Dan and I shared the banana katsu. So this is a banana rolled in panko breadcrumbs and deep fried. So we're good already. But then it's served with a miso salted caramel ice cream.
Yeah.
And drizzled with a vegan caramel.
Yeah. All vegan.
All vegan. And it was ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Super flavorful, but also super light.
Yeah.
Wagamama is one of the few places where you can kind of have a 3-course meal and not leave feeling like you've eaten enough for a week.
Sure.
You know, it's just outstanding food. So, like I said, we will be heading to one of the New York City Wagamamas in short order.
Well, I know I got, after that, pictures of some donuts.
Oh, that was on Windsor Day. I had good food before that. So the next day, we were scheduled to meet for a tour of Shakespeare's Globe Theater. And I had been wandering around the St. Paul's Cathedral area. This was not the day that I did the climb of the dome. I was just wandering through the area and then down Millennium Bridge towards the Globe and decided that, you know, I'm a little hungry. I could look for a snack. And I found this little cafe called Crosby and Hope, just kind of off the main thoroughfare of the south end of the Thames, out of Southwark. And they had a vegan sausage roll. So I got the vegan sausage roll with a bit of brown sauce because it's necessary.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, in Britain, they have this condiment that they just call brown sauce. And I think we may have talked about it before.
It's possible.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like, it's a little A1 meets gravy, kind of.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good with French fries and
super good with sausage rolls. Yeah.
It's good on everything.
Yeah.
Sam actually brought me back 4 packs of
I
brown
did
sauce.
because I found them in the Stonehenge Cafe. Yeah. I was trying to figure out how much brown sauce can I actually stuff in my pockets and then get through security.
Right.
Like what can I do? Like how much liquid is it going to take for them to identify the brown sauce in my luggage? But 4 packs was apparently not enough.
they didn't
so I'll
flag
try
it.
next time. Yeah, I'll try more next time.
No, I think 4 packs isn't sufficient.
Yes, but had to do that. Now, Crosby and Hope also had some lovely vegan beverage options. I did, I think, a blended juice that morning, like my favorite carrot, ginger, turmeric, that kind of stuff. And they also had a couple of options beyond the vegan sausage roll. They had an avocado bagel, which looks like smashed avocado and what might be kind of like a vegan sour cream drizzle, and some roasted peppers and tomatoes. So that looked really beautiful.
That sounds good.
So, yep, I would definitely check them out. They also had some vegan baked goods going on, which was really great. And then for lunch/dinner that day, we wound up at a pub called Doggett's. And Doggett's is right at the south end of Blackfriars Bridge. Now, this was not intended. One of our students got in a little bit of an accident and we had to head to the rescue. And once we found out that she was okay, but the emergency team that came to help her out did recommend that she go to urgent care for, possible stitches. She got kind of mowed over by a bicyclist.
I hate to giggle, but yeah, she got hit by a bicyclist.
Yes, and she went down pretty hard.
Not sure how that happens, but
she went down pretty hard.
Yeah.
And so anyway, once we found out that she was fine, technically fine, but they wanted her to go to urgent care in order to, get stitches if needed and, just to make sure everything was cool.
And the bicyclist was okay too?
Yes, was also fine.
That's good.
So anyway, the student said, you know what, that sounds good, but I need to eat something before we go to urgent care. And it just so happened that this pub was right next to the accident site.
The scene of the crime.
The scene of the crime. And so we went in, and fortunately they had several vegan options, one of them being a lentil and vegetable shepherd's pie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did send me a picture of that. That looked really good.
Yes, it was absolutely fabulous. In fact, I sent Christine a picture of the lentil and vegetable pie with the little pot of gravy and like the roasted vegetables that it had on the side. Mm-hmm. And then the next picture I sent was the plate completely cleaned.
Yeah.
Just absolutely demolished.
Yeah.
This was an incredibly well-seasoned, beautifully conceived shepherd's pie. Now, of course, being a fan of like old school British pies, I wish it kind of came in that lovely pastry casing.
Oh, in a pastry. Yeah, but if it's a shepherd's pie.
But it's a shepherd's pie, it's not going to. But
Yeah, shepherd's pie does not have a crust.
It does not. Yeah. But it's like, I want to take this mix, this lentil and vegetable mix, and put that into a pastry casing like a traditional pie, like a steak and ale or a chicken leek and brie, that kind of thing. I would love to do that. So that was totally awesome. And then the next day, Dan and I went to Mildred's.
Yeah.
Now, Mildred's was on our list back in November. We actually had a reservation at the Mildred's in Covent Garden, but then I got terribly sick and we didn't make it.
Tear.
I know.
One lone tear.
One lone tear.
On my cheek.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Dan and I wound up at the Mildred's in King's Cross. So there are 2 or 3 Mildred's across the city.
I think it's just the 2.
Just the 2?
Yeah, there's one in Covent Gardens and there's one in King's Cross.
Yep. So we went to the one in the King's Cross neighborhood. And of course, Mildred's is a fully vegan restaurant. And as every vegan knows, it's just so cool to walk into a place and know you can eat anything.
Yeah.
That there are no questions that you need to ask, that there are no worries that you have to have. And I have to say another thing, really, I am impressed with the UK in general. I know we've said this before, that every server who speaks to you immediately asks about allergies.
Yeah, they're very aware of allergens and stuff. Yeah.
And we had a couple of students on this trip who had some pretty serious allergies.
Yeah, you did.
And so they were just absolutely floored that the first thing they're asked as they're being seated at a table, are there any food allergies?
Yeah.
and they immediately have the chance to say, yes.
Yes, here's my list.
Here's my list. And a couple of them had pretty substantial lists.
Yeah, a couple of her students have, just a veritable plethora.
Yeah,
of
to the point that I wonder, like, how difficult that has to be on a day-to-day basis.
Terribly difficult.
Much less being in an unfamiliar city.
Yeah.
Where you don't necessarily know where all the grocery stores are.
Eating out is like very risky. It's very risky.
Sure.
I mean, because a lot of places, they have shared kitchens and stuff. I mean,
yeah,
they can't. I don't know. It's very risky. If I were a person that had that kind of food allergies that were like life-threatening food allergies, I'm not sure I would ever eat out.
Right.
I would be too afraid.
Right. Yeah. So went to Mildred's. It's an adorable place, like super cute on the inside. And Dan and I started with the spinach gyoza because if there's gyoza on offer, it's going to happen just because I love them so much.
That's true.
And then I got the hot mango pepper chicken bun, which is of course a sandwich.
Yeah.
And on that sandwich was a cabbage and carrot turmeric coconut slaw.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that slaw was to die for.
Really?
It was so, so good. And that, of course, came served with fries. It was an absolutely beautiful sandwich. Loved it from start to finish. Dan got one of their brunch plates. I believe it was called the almuerzo brunch. And that came with scrambled tofu, plantain fritters, chorizo chili, tomatillo guacamole, green chili sour cream, and a mushroom rosemary quesadilla.
Yeah. Wow. And that's probably what I would have gotten. I think what Dan got is what I would have.
Well, I was debating between the sandwich that I got and their thali brunch.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Now that would make it even more difficult.
Oh gosh, it was so difficult. There were so many things.
Yeah.
Like just so many things. So we need to go back to Mildred's. And like my lentil pie of the day before, both of our plates were completely empty by the time we were done.
Yeah.
And then we shared their beautiful chocolate ganache layer cake with candied hazelnuts and salted caramel ice cream.
Whoa.
Yes.
That sounds really good.
Which was also insane. So there we go. That was that. Now, after that, we immediately went to see Matthew Bourne's production of Edward Scissorhands. So this is a brilliant UK-based choreographer who has been taking stories both from fairy tale and from classical ballet and from literature and film and turning them into these unbelievably visceral, essentially like physical theater interpretations. Like I don't know if I even want to call it ballet, although if you are calling it ballet, cool.
Yeah.
It was so good. So saw that, and that was just phenomenal. Then we took a bit of a walk on the South Bank and we got some street food. I got a burrito at a place called Burrito Banditas, and they were not a fully vegan establishment, but they did have a lovely vegetable burrito that came with guacamole and salsa and rice and corn, onions and peppers, black beans, all of it. Absolutely gorgeous. I took a picture of it, making sure that my burrito looked like it was eating the Tower of London.
Yes. And it did. Yeah. Mission accomplished.
Yes. And then we went to see Guys and Dolls. And then not long after that, we went to Stonehenge. Stonehenge was incredible. I had never been there before. So that was a completely new experience.
It was Stonehenge on New Year's Day.
No, it was Stonehenge on New Year's Eve day.
New Year's Eve. Okay.
New Year's Eve day.
Okay.
And so the cafe at Stonehenge is, of course, where I found Christine's brown sauce. I also found...
brown sauce from Stonehenge.
That's right. Brown sauce from Stonehenge. I also found in their cafe a vegan chickpea curry pasty.
Ooh.
Yes. And of course I had to have that, and it was absolutely delightful. So that was my breakfast that morning. And then we went to Salisbury Cathedral and wandered around, saw the Magna Carta. That was pretty cool. And then I actually ordered in dinner that night because by the time we got back to London on New Year's Eve, the actual fatigue of travel was starting to hit me.
Yeah.
It's like I had pushed through the first few days and was doing okay, but then it was like, oh my God, okay, I'm really tired. And so I had been scheduled to go to a cabaret extravaganza with my friend Dan, and he decided to go and I decided to stay home, and he said that I made the better choice. So apparently it was not the extravaganza that it was touted to be.
Right.
And he actually left at intermission.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ordered in that night, and I actually ordered in Mildred's.
Tear.
And
One more tear.
I know. And
slowly rolling down my cheek.
I'm so sorry. So I ordered in Mildred's this time because I was really jonesing for some fresh greens by this point.
Yeah.
I got their grilled artichoke Caesar salad.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I got another order of the spinach gyoza just because.
Because if there's gyoza, you're getting gyoza.
It's going to happen. That's right. And I also got an order of their cabbage, carrot, coconut turmeric slaw.
The slaw.
Just the slaw on its own.
Yeah.
So I kind of mixed it in with the salad, and it was really quite lovely. So that was awesome. Then New Year's Day, that's where we get the picture of donuts.
Oh, they were New Year's Day donuts.
They were New Year's Day donuts.
Yeah.
And so I got up early on New Year's Day and took the train out to Windsor because I'd never been to Windsor Castle, and I thought it was time to do that. And as I get off the train and I'm walking up towards the castle, there's this wonderful, line of restaurants and coffee shops and stores. And most of the shops were closed because it was New Year's Day, but most of the restaurants were open, or at least semi-open.
Okay.
And one of those places was a little donut stall called Donut Time.
Yeah, Donut Time is actually a chain. I looked into them, and it also made me think of this question. Do you spell donut D-O-N-U-T, or do you spell donut D-O-U-G-H-N-U-T?
I spell it O-U-G-H.
Do you? I spell it D-O-N-U-T.
Well, right. D-O-N-U-T is the American spelling.
Yeah.
O-U-G-H is the British spelling.
But, I mean, people in America use both spellings. And donut shops use both spellings.
I prefer the O-U-G-H.
It's actually more descriptive.
I think so.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, of course, as it happens with every bakery I pass, I have to look and see if there are any vegan baked goods in any bakery shop window.
That's your job.
And it is my job. And so immediately I find that they had 4 vegan donuts on offer that day.
And you ate all 4 of them.
I did not. I bought one and I didn't even eat it right away. I waited until the next day.
I was teasing.
I know you were. But anyway, what I was first taken aback by was the names of the donuts. I thought they were pretty hysterical.
Oh, they were clever.
So there was first the David Hasselhoff donut, which was a Biscoff.
Biscoff. So it's David Hasselhoff Biscoff.
Right. It's really David Hassel Biscoff.
Right. No, but they do call it the David Hasselhoff.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's so funny. What were the other ones?
Well, the one that I got was the Jack Blackberry.
Jack Blackberry.
Yes. And then they also had the Ice Baby.
Ice Baby.
Which was a vanilla glazed vanilla buttercream cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie chunks, and dark chocolate.
Yeah, those sound
donut.
pretty ridiculous.
And then there was the Snow G.
Snow G.
Which was a cinnamon vanilla glazed donut. Now, the one that I had, the Jack Blackberry, was an apple and blackberry filling with caramel glaze and cinnamon streusel.
That is such an interesting combination of flavors.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
And you've heard me say many, many times before that I'm not really a donut person.
Right.
That it's too much of the wrong kind of sweet. Wow. This might be my perfect donut.
My Perfect Donut.
Yes.
By Sam.
Yes. This very well maybe my perfect donut.
I'm just a little disappointed you didn't get the David Hasselhoff just because of the name.
Well, yeah, but I'm sorry.
But I mean, the Jack Blackberry is...
Well, right.
It's cute.
I mean,
it's cute.
But also fruit.
Yeah, fruit.
Also fruit. And also it was the last one.
Oh.
So, there were still 6 of the David Hasselhoff sitting there.
So it was obviously the more popular.
It was obviously going quickly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, there is one Jack Blackberry sitting there. I need to have that. And they didn't have more of them because when I walked by the shop on my way out, that space was completely covered with the vanilla cinnamon glazed ones.
Yeah,
so,
that's usually how donut shops work. They make so many of them, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, and so it was a beautiful donut. I would gladly have that again. Like, oh my gosh. Then, so went and saw the castle, saw some really cool things, saw the spot in St. George's Chapel where King Henry VIII and Jane Seymour are buried. I'm a nut for Tudor history, so that's like a really big thing for me. And then, saw where Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip and Princess Margaret are all laid to rest, and so that was really quite lovely. Walked through the state apartments, which I have to say, overwhelming. Just the sheer scale of the wealth is unbelievable.
It's unfathomable. I can't say that, but it's that.
It's unfathomable.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really just, again, speechless making.
Yeah, it's, I mean, that, and that's not even like, the royals don't even have like Jeff Bezos money.
No.
They don't.
No.
But they are really good at making things extravagant.
Oh, yes.
Right?
I mean, the state apartments are, of course, where the crown entertains foreign dignitaries and all of that. And so, of course, these rooms are meant to impress.
Right.
Good heavens, do they?
Yeah.
Like, just the art on the walls. Like, there's a dozen original Rubens.
Right.
An entire room of Van Dyck portraiture, like a number of original Holbeins. It's like, are you kidding me with this?
Right.
Just, the case after case after case of official state china.
Right.
The gifts that were given to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II over the years.
Oh, can you imagine? Over how many years did she reign before 71. She passed? Can you imagine the number of gifts that she's received
Just
over
incredible.
those years?
Like,
that there is probably a warehouse someplace.
Oh, there has to be.
With all of that stuff, right?
This couldn't be all of it. There's no way.
No.
But then, of course, there are plaques carved into the walls, showing when various people were inducted into, the royal, I think it's the Noble Order of the Garter.
Right.
And it goes all the way back to 1066.
It's crazy.
Like, it's just nuts. So really, really overwhelming. But so glad that I went. And also, when we go back, I think I'm going to have you come with me to Windsor. I think we should go because I didn't really get to explore the town around Windsor quite so much. And it was really adorable.
Yeah.
Really, really quaint. I love the tiny towns that surround castles.
Yeah.
Like, I just think they're awesome.
They are. Yeah.
And so also because a lot of the, businesses and whatnot were closed because it was New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be fun to go back there. But on my way back, had to stop for some lunch. And guess where I went? Wagamama.
No surprise there.
Well, no, there just happened to be a Wagamama, right?
A different Wagamama.
Yes, so this was Wagamama Windsor.
So we could just call this Sam's Wagamama tour.
Well, I mean, I really think I do need to start like listing every Wagamama that I've been to. So it's like Cardiff, like at least a dozen times, and Bristol once, and Tower Hill now 3 times, I think, and Southwark once, and Windsor once, and
you could probably be entered into like the Guinness Book of World Records for
Wagamama.
Most Wagamamas attended.
Visited. Oh, see, I have a feeling there are people who are way ahead of me on that, but
probably.
Yeah, it's a nice idea, though.
Yeah.
And I'll add New York to the list.
Anywho.
Yes. So anyway, but I did get some slightly different food. I did start with the Bang Bang cauliflower once again, just because it was so yummy. But then this time I got the vegan chicken kare loman. This is also a noodle dish. So you get udon noodles in this incredible, like lemongrassy broth.
Okay.
And it's kind of a thick, rich broth. It's not a clear broth. And you get that with bean sprouts and fresh cucumber and cilantro and lime. And oh my gosh, it's just divine. And I'm was so glad to see that they have this, because the first dish that I fell in love with at Wagamama back in Cardiff was their shrimp kare loman.
Oh, right.
And so to have a curry loman on the menu and have it be vegan is really spectacular. So thank you, Wagamama. Now, that night, Dan and I went out for dinner, and he picked the restaurant, and he picked a place called Korean Barbecue and Vegan.
Yeah, very interestingly named.
Yeah, and completely accurate. So this
Yeah.
place was both a Korean barbecue, and if you've ever done Korean barbecue, you actually cook your meats
At the table. Yeah.
But they also have a substantial vegan menu.
It's just bizarre to me.
It's a little weird.
It's like, hey, come and eat our vegan food and sit next to somebody who's cooking an animal at their table.
And that happened.
Yeah.
That did happen. And so I will fully admit that, I was definitely made uncomfortable by the folks, sitting next to me grilling meats.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, not my favorite thing about this place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciated that Dan chose a restaurant with so many vegan offerings, like a full separate vegan menu.
I mean, I guess that's cool.
It is cool. And besides, just because I'm vegan doesn't mean the people that are eating with me have to be.
No, I'm just saying, as a vegan, I probably would not pick to eat at that restaurant, even though they have an extensive vegan menu.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I didn't pick the restaurant.
No, I totally understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I might not have chosen it either, but the food that I had there was very, very good. We shared some of their tofu gyoza.
This is the Gyoza Tour 2023.
It really is. But then
/4.
But then I had their vegan tteokbokki.
Oh.
Which are like tteokbokki.
It's like tteokbokki, but
they're bigger.
Yeah.
They're a little bigger, but there's still that idea of kind of like a gnocchi.
It's
instead
like
of it being
rice
Thai.
ball.
Yeah, it's the Korean version of the Thai dish. And it was in this gorgeous spicy tomato sauce. It was really
just like
fantastic.
tteokbokki is too. Okay.
Yep. And then I had their vegan yakisoba with crispy tofu.
Sounds good.
It was very, very good. Loved that. Then, what was next? Skipped to the next day, and we went to another all-vegan restaurant.
Ooh.
Yes, Wolf and Lamb.
Oh, yeah, Wolf and Lamb.
Was on my list. And so we went, and Dan and I each got their Big Wolf burger.
And that's WULF.
It is WULF. And so this burger was absolutely spectacular. One of the best burgers I've ever had, to be completely honest.
Yeah, it's a house burger, right?
It's a house burger on a beautiful bun with melted cheese and, all the kind of regular fixings, tomato, lettuce, onion, pickles, all of that. It was absolutely fantastic. And they make killer fries.
Really?
Yeah.
Chips.
Yeah. Thank you. Killer chips.
Yeah.
And we also shared a order of their mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had to try mac and cheese. It was very, very tasty. I think it was slightly overbaked.
It was dry.
It's a little on the dry side.
Yeah.
But the flavor was really wonderful, and kind of the crunch on the top was really, really present. But I do have a feeling it was just slightly overcooked. But
that's the thing. If it was like a cashew-based, I've had that happen.
Yeah.
It happened with Crystal's dip.
Oh, yes.
I overbaked
true.
it by, maybe 10 minutes.
Right.
And what happens is the cashew cheese, the cashew cream kind of seizes.
Right.
And it gets dry. Yeah.
Right. Now, Wolf and Lamb was in the Baker Street area of London.
Yeah.
And so we were walking around. We were thinking we were going to go to the Sherlock Holmes Museum, which didn't end up happening because the wait was really, really long. And so instead, we just got back on the subway at Baker Street, but not before we ran into a lovely place called Tart Modern.
Tart Modern.
Yes, it's a play on Tate Modern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, what Tart Modern had to offer that got me super excited was vegan pastéis de nata.
Pastéis.
Yes, pastéis.
If you don't know what pastéis is, it's a small cream-filled tart. Usually it's a egg creamish, kind of pudding-ish thing.
It's a Portuguese classic.
Yeah, it's a Portuguese thing.
And so you get this really, really flaky pastry dough. And on the inside, it's usually an egg-based, as Christine was saying.
Yeah.
An egg and milk-based custard, essentially.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Tarte Modern does vegan versions. And so I got one of each of the flavors that they were offering. And so they're plain, and you get that topped with a little bit of cinnamon.
Uh-huh.
And then they also had one with cherries on top. They were both absolutely exquisite.
Really?
Like, I think pastiche is my new favorite thing.
Pastiche.
Like, yes, we need to, yes. I seriously considered on our last day there just going back to Tarte Modern and like buying out the vegan pastiche in the hopes of bringing them home. Yes.
I have a feeling they wouldn't travel very well.
Probably not. They are quite delicate.
Yeah.
But, the thought was there because I really wanted you to experience them.
Yeah, but that is the kind of thing that you want to eat right then.
It is.
When they make it.
It is.
Yes.
And then, let's see. We're getting close to the end of the food, I promise.
We are 40 minutes in already. Buckle up, people, because this is going to be a bit of a long... We've been gone a while, so we want to talk to you. It may be long. You might have to listen to this in shifts.
It could happen. So anyway, the next day.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, actually, that night after the Tarte Modern gloriousness, we actually saw a play at London's County Hall, just on the south side of the river near Westminster. And it was done in one of their hearing rooms. And the play was Agatha Christie's Witness for the Prosecution.
That's cool.
It was stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Just amazing. So that's another one that we may have to check out when we go next, because I think
that's cool when
love
productions do that. Some friends of mine years ago did a production of To Kill a Mockingbird in one of the very large federal courthouses in Erie, Pennsylvania, and putting it in that space. Makes it so much more dramatic.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. And like my favorite moment, I think, of the entire play, I mean, the twist at the end, because of course with Agatha Christie, there has to be a significant twist at the end, was of course astounding. But
the butler did it.
No, he really didn't. But in the first scene, you see this young man being convicted for this crime that he's been accused of.
Sure.
And it goes from him sitting on a stool in a courtroom, and then out of the floor, the gallows just raises up.
Oh, really?
From the floor. Oh my God. It was so elegant.
How did they do that
I don't know, but
that public space?
It was just phenomenal.
That's amazing.
It was jaw-dropping, like just so totally cool. All right. So the next day, I was on a mission. I was on my own that day, and I was on a mission to go to Unity Diner.
Right. Which is an all-vegan diner.
Which is an all-vegan diner, and it is at least partially owned by our favorite vegan activist out there, Earthling Ed Winters.
Yeah.
And so I've been wanting to go there forever, and unfortunately, after quite a walk in the pouring rain. We're not talking about like normal London drizzly rain.
No, this was a drenching rain.
This was the most soaking rain.
You had no umbrella?
I didn't have my umbrella. I had my waterproof raincoat, which the water went through.
Wow.
Thank you very much. So after that, I get to Unity Diner only to discover that they were closed until the 5th.
They were on holiday. Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Now, I was a little disappointed because every site that I checked, their website, Happy Cow, everywhere I looked said they were open.
Yeah, establishments really should post on their website when they take a holiday like that.
It would be helpful.
Yeah, especially for people traveling.
Yeah.
Because,
So I was really disappointed, but right around the corner from Unity Diner is another of the places that was on my list, which is Tofu Vegan.
Yeah.
And so Tofu Vegan is a Chinese vegan restaurant, is fully vegan, and has one of the loveliest interiors of a restaurant I think I've ever seen.
Really?
Just absolutely beautiful. And they were playing wonderful kind of Zen music. It was just really calming and a delightful place to have a meal.
Yeah, good atmosphere.
Yeah, fantastic atmosphere. And so there was so much on the menu that I wanted to try that I decided to go with several small dishes as opposed to, like one big thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to go if you don't know what to get.
Yeah, so I got a whole bunch of appetizers, basically. And the first two were their Dongbei sweet potato noodle sheets with slivered vegetables in a spicy sesame sauce.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yes, but what I didn't notice when I was ordering was that it was a cold dish.
Oh, right.
And so after being soaked to the skin in cold London rain,
Yeah.
this is not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
If I'd ordered the same dish on a warm summer day, I'm sure that I would have loved it.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't what you were expecting.
it wasn't what I was expecting, and so I was a little disappointed. That was also true for their tofu and vegetable rolls with sour and hot dressing.
So they were summer rolls.
They were also cold.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And so, it was my fault. I do not blame the restaurant for my not being into these dishes. It was entirely my fault for not paying enough attention to the menu, because I'm looking at the pictures right now and it does say cold.
It does.
It does.
Oh.
I just missed it.
Oh, no kidding.
Because I went sweet potato noodles. Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't think that's going to be a cold dish.
No, you really don't. But the things that I did get that were absolutely the star of the show, number one was their wonton soup. This was the best wonton soup I have ever had in my entire life.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Warm, oniony, really kind of pungent broth and these beautiful little wontons. And it came in this cute little pot. Oh my gosh. I just absolutely loved it.
What were the wontons filled with?
It was a mix of vegetables.
Vegetables and tofu?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely fantastic. And then I also got, they had just a dish of their wontons in like a special sauce, they called it. And so I got those as well. And the wontons, again, were just beautiful.
Were those fried wontons or steamed?
Steamed.
Okay.
In a lovely, lovely sauce. Those were great. And then I also tried their deep fried chicken bites, which came with a sweet and sour dipping sauce.
Uh-huh.
And that also was just spectacular. And it was clearly a tofu-based in-house chicken.
Sure. A little nugget.
Little nuggets. And they were fantastic. The one thing that I truly didn't like that I tried, and this is the last of the dishes that I tried, but they had in their dim sum menu, and I love dim sum, because I'm sorry, dumplings. Hello. But I got their spicy edamame dumplings. This should have been a home run for me. Spicy edamame dumpling. Where can you go wrong? It was way too fermented tasting for me.
Yeah. Was there anything in the list of ingredients that indicated that it was going to be fermented food?
No.
Oh, interesting.
And so I think, I'm not even sure if I didn't like the dish or if I was just put off by the fact that it wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
I would like to try them again, knowing
Knowing what they
that
are.
really they're going to taste like tempeh,
Yeah.
not edamame,
Yeah. So you were thinking that it was going to be like a fresh edamame.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be more of a tempeh situation.
Yes. And
Okay.
so I wasn't crazy about those.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was a beautiful, beautiful meal. And I would definitely go there again because there were so many things on that menu that I wanted to try.
Oh.
So, and then after that, that's when I did the walk up the dome of St. Paul's.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The 530 stairs or whatever.
528 stairs.
Okay.
Yes. So that was pretty incredible. Loved that. And then after St. Paul's, I met the crew at the National Theater. So again, we're down on the South Bank for a tour of the National Theater, which was just phenomenal. And our tour guide was amazing. And we ended up having dinner at this little cafe underneath the National Theater called Curb, Kerb, at the Understudy. And they had several vegan options, including vegan pizza and a wonderful vegan burger with fries, which is what I had.
You had the burger?
I did have the burger.
You didn't have the pizza?
I know. I know. I didn't have any pizza while I was in London.
Well, I guess maybe I gave you enough pizza the last time we were in London.
Oh, maybe that was it.
Like, I'm not having more pizza in London.
That makes a whole lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense.
That could be why you were turning away from the pizza.
Yes. And then after the tour at the National Theater, we went and saw Six at the Vaudeville Theater. And I've been skeptical about 6 for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it takes one of my favorite periods of history, one of my favorite stories in history, and kind of condenses it into 8 pop songs. I am now a convert. I am now a fully fledged 6 fan.
So you say, I guess I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. It was pretty great. So loved it. The next morning, I realized that my hip was not happy from the hike up the dome.
The story of the unhappy hip.
Yes, indeed. And so I decided to take it easy. This was our last full day in London. And, even though there were things that I wanted to do, I had managed to get a rush ticket to see the Mousetrap. I decided to just chill.
Take it easy.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good idea.
Probably so as not to exacerbate the slight hip issue. So I ordered food in for breakfast.
From Wagamama.
No, not from Wagamama. Will you please stop? And hang on, I need my notebook.
A few moments later.
Oh, of course. This was breakfast from BioLife Vegan Bagel. BioLife Vegan Bagel. So I got my BioLife Vegan Bagel courtesy of Deliveroo. I love Deliveroo. Deliveroo
and
is great.
BioLife with a B like boy?
With a B like boy,
Okay.
not a
Not
V like
Vi-like.
BioLife vegan cheese.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, completely different. Ordered that, and along with I got their bacon, vegan egg, avocado, and tomato. Essentially a BLTA on a bagel.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, can't go wrong there. And it was delicious. And I got an order of their hash browns as well, which was also delicious. So can highly recommend that. And then for my second meal, which was much later in the day, I ordered from Chatori Vegan Indian.
Ooh.
Yes. Now I did this because Dan and I, when we were both going to see plays that day, he had tickets for 2 different plays on that day, and I had a ticket to the Mousetrap. We were going to meet in the middle for dinner at Dishoom.
Right.
And we've been wanting to do Dishoom for quite some time.
Yeah.
And we didn't make it to Dishoom, but I just had Indian food on the brain. And so I'm like, I must get Indian food for dinner. And so I did. And this came from Chatori Vegan Indian. It was exquisite. Absolutely exquisite. I got their kachori, which are similar to samosa, except that they're round and they don't have kind of the outside dough part. It's like you take the center of a samosa and just drop it right in the fryer.
Yeah.
And they're really just beautiful. So those were exquisite. They came with a tamarind dipping sauce that was just lovely. And then I got some chaat, which are these wonderful potato dumplings with a wonderful sauce. And then you put toppings on it. So there was some green onion and there was some tamarind sauce and some like a vegan creamy kind of sauce. And then you just mash it all together.
That sounds good.
Oh, it was so good. Absolutely ridiculous. And then I got some garlic naan because garlic naan and
Because garlic naan.
yes, and some a dal based curry.
Yeah.
All of it was just gorgeous. And I had to accompany it with a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. If you've never had a thumbs up, you probably haven't. They're kind of hard to come by, but it is a Indian soda.
Yes.
Similar to
Coca-Cola.
a Coca-Cola, but it has tons of caffeine.
It has loads of caffeine,
Yeah.
but it also has a lot of spices in it.
Spices,
So it's
yeah.
got cardamom. It's got turmeric.
Yeah.
It's the Indian version of Coca-Cola. And it is, if I'm not mistaken, a Coca-Cola product that is made
Yeah.
specifically for the Indian market
Yeah, but
or
it's-
the South Asian market.
It's full sugar, like most Coke products are in other countries. It's full sugar. They don't
Yeah.
use
No,
corn
there's-
syrup or anything like
there's
that.
no thumbs up zero either.
No.
No.
Yeah. It's good.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And the only places that we've found it since I had it in India many, many years ago, we got it at an Indian restaurant in Toronto.
Yeah,
Once.
in
oh, wait, no, it was Niagara Falls.
Was it in Niagara Falls?
It was Niagara Falls.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was in Little India in Toronto, but you're right.
Nope,
it was in
Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And then this place in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're ever in an Indian restaurant, check out their beverages, and if they have a thumbs up on the menu, try it because
Yeah.
it's really good.
It's really good. So it's like a slightly spicy Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it comes in a glass bottle like the old
Yeah.
Coke used to.
Although mine came in a can.
Oh, it did?
This thumbs up came in a can.
Oh, okay. I've only ever had it out of a glass bottle. So
Well, up until a few days ago. Me too.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely gorgeous. And I was very, very glad that, I kind of took the time to just stay in and rest that day, but also that I got to order food from 2 fully vegan establishments.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that was really great. And then the next morning, we gather up our herd of 11 students and we head back to Heathrow and we decide to have a family meal. And guess where that family meal was?
Was it Wagamama?
It was, because guess what? Wagamama has tables long enough for 13 people.
They do. That's one thing about Wagamama. They have kind of like this family style setup where it's just big long tables.
Yeah. It's
almost
amazing.
like picnic tables.
Yeah. I mean, and London Heathrow is an incredibly busy airport.
Yeah.
And, we're looking around and I'm talking to the host at Wagamama and I'm like, we're a group of 13 and I know like it was crazy busy in there. I'm like, I know it might take a while to accommodate us. Is there anything that we can do? And she was like, oh, just hang on a second. And she walks around the corner, looks towards the back of the restaurant and just gestures to me, come on.
Yeah.
They had a table just ready for us.
I'm
and
sure
it was amazing.
I'm sure that the airport Wagamama is used to having large parties come
that
through
would make
like
sense.
that,
Yeah. But it was absolutely spectacular. I did get something just a tiny bit different. I got the vegan chicken curry loman again.
Okay.
Because it was that good. But to start, instead of the bang bang cauliflower, because they were out of it, I got their wok fried greens, which was some flash pan-fried broccoli, green beans, and snow peas.
That sounds good.
And they were beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my 10 days in London
Whoa.
via food.
That was a whirlwind.
Right?
We're already in an hour. So.
Sorry about that.
Like I said, you might want to listen to this one in shifts.
Probably.
I know. I wish I could edit it in shifts.
Sorry.
No, I tease. While Sam was gone, I don't know if you heard in previous episodes that I had a tendency when Sam was away to really not want to cook for myself.
Tortilla and cheese.
And I would eat like tortillas and cheese. I made a conscious effort to cook for myself the whole time she was gone. So I did.
Awesome.
I cooked for myself, and I made a couple pasta dishes and I made tofu scrambles and I made a number of different things that I fed myself, which was good. And on New Year's Eve, Sam and I had a tradition where we used to make snacks and play Mario Party.
This is true.
On either our Wii or our Switch or whatever. And I happened to think, I wonder what Sam's brother is doing tonight, because I didn't know what anybody's plans were. And so I texted him like, hey, you want to play Mario Party later? And he said, sure. So Sam's brother Owen and I played Mario Party on
love that.
New Year's Eve. And
That's so great.
I was actually up until midnight, which we never are.
Oh, no, never.
No. I watched the ball drop online, and then I promptly fell asleep.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's what I did while Sam was away.
Cool.
All right, we need to move on here.
We really do. Sorry about all of that.
No. I wanted everybody to hear all about it, and I even heard some things that I hadn't heard a couple of times that you told me what all you were doing. So
well, yeah, because you don't listen.
No. I mean, there are things you hadn't said. It's not that I didn't hear them. Anyway. Oh, I wanted to tell everybody that Hoodies for the Homeless wrapped up their 2023 campaign, and they wanted to thank everyone who donated warm clothing for the people in need in Buffalo. It looks like they had a really successful year.
Awesome.
So
love to hear that.
Go you who donated to Hoodies for the Homeless.
Indeed.
And guess what? We have a recipe this week.
Woohoo!
Got to get back on that recipe train.
We really do.
Right?
Yeah.
All aboard the recipe train.
I mean, especially because, the Christmas season has just passed and we have some new cookbooks to delve into. And
Yeah. So, we'll be full swing into the recipes now. But this is this week's recipe of the week. So this week, I kind of diverted from our usual either make it out of a cookbook, make it one of my own original recipes, or make it a listener recipe. And this recipe comes from one of my favorite vegan YouTubers, Sarah Sullivan, who has a YouTube account that's called Sarah's Vegan Kitchen. And she also has a wonderful food blog. If you Google Sarah's Vegan Kitchen, her food blog will come up. And we made Sarah Sullivan's Vegan Cheddar Biscuits. which
I love a biscuit.
yeah, which I made, and we had alongside of a vegetable bean soup that I made.
I love soup.
Yeah, and these biscuits turned out pretty good. I was a little, I don't know. I get a little nervous when I bake. I'm not a good baker. It's
I don't
not my
know why
strong
she
suit.
doesn't just say, "Hey, boo, make the biscuits."
Yeah, I should make Sam do any recipe where I'm baking.
Because I love baking.
Yeah, I don't always get nervous about it. I'm like, something's not going to turn out. I mean, I followed the recipe. The dough seemed a little wet. I just was adding a little bit of flour, but I'm like, I hope I'm not adding too much flour.
It was just
anyway,
fine.
they turned out fine.
They did.
They were delicious.
They really, really were.
Yeah, and I'll share a link to this recipe if you want to try them yourself. I'll put a link in the show notes.
And we were perfect for soaking up soup.
Yeah, they were good with the soup. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're like a garlic cheddar, vegan cheddar biscuit.
Oh, they hit the spot. They were great.
They were good. With that, we're going to move on to our Noteworthy section. This week's Noteworthy is about an article that I found written by Rebecca Libauskas, who works with PETA. She wrote this really interesting opinion piece in the Hawaii Tribune Herald, exploring what would happen if It's a Wonderful Life was about veganism, if George Bailey of It's a Wonderful Life was a vegan.
That's really a great premise.
That's what I thought. I'm like, this is a fabulous idea.
It really is. It really is. So if this were to occur, okay, so we've made George Bailey vegan. And so Clarence, but for some reason, George still goes through his crisis of faith.
Sure.
Yes. And so Clarence still makes his way into the picture. Mm-hmm. And so Clarence would then show vegan George how he helped keep the planet clean and green, showing that each vegan conserves 1,100 gallons of water, nearly 40 pounds of grain, and 30 square feet of forested land every single day. And that going vegan for just a month can prevent 620 pounds of hazardous carbon emissions and safeguard 913 square feet of rainforest from destruction. Raising animals for food, on the other hand, requires substantial amounts of land feed, energy, and water, and emits planet-warming greenhouse gases. Clarence would also reveal to George how vegan food had helped him live a long and healthy life. Scientific research consistently shows the health benefits of eating plants, such as reduced risk of chronic diseases. In a recent study led by Stanford Medicine, scientists looked at 22 sets of identical twins, one vegan, the other an omnivore, to compare the effects of their eating choices. The results showed that going vegan can improve heart health in just 8 weeks. Another new study focused on both kids and adults who went vegan and found that they had lower risk of heart disease.
Yeah, and we just recently watched the Netflix documentary series that follows some of those 22 sets of identical twins. It's called You Are What You Eat. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll be doing a review on it.
Oh, we definitely should.
Probably next episode.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
We can talk about that and the blue zones in the same episode.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Vegan George would then be proud to see how his choices had helped address a serious global challenge, hunger. The most recent UN report on hunger tells us that about 828 million people experienced hunger in 2021, yet we continue to use enormous amounts of land, water, and other resources to grow crops to feed animals raised for food, even though feeding humans with plants instead is more efficient. Plus, raising animals for food produces only a fractional quantity of meat for every pound of feed they consume. To illustrate, animals need to eat up to 10 pounds of grain to grow 1 meager pound of flesh. A single person's commitment to living vegan can set off a domino effect of positive changes by abandoning this unsustainable, cruel food system. Clarence would show George all the animals he had saved. Animals on factory farms endure cramped, disgusting conditions and are denied the opportunity to do anything that's natural and meaningful to them. Unsanitary conditions contribute to disease spread, and selective breeding for rapid growth leads to health issues. The moral of It's a Wonderful Life is that our actions affect those around us, and that will always be true. By going vegan, we influence our communities and those beyond. We become ambassadors for change, inspiring friends, family, and even strangers to embrace the power of plants. Social media platforms have become modern-day town squares where we share recipes, tips, and stories. And in the future, when our descendants study our posts like we study cave paintings, they will know which of us helped usher in an ethical, sustainable food system. What a wonderful legacy of compassion.
Yeah, I really dug this article, and we'll link to this article if you want to read the full article, if you want to read the article in its entirety. Again, it comes from the Hawaii Tribune Herald, and it's written by Rebecca Libauskas from People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
And that brings us to today's main topic.
Yeah, so we are in January, and a lot of vegans would like to call this Veganuary.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than make it like a, hey, hoopla Veganuary episode.
Okay.
Because we did a Veganuary episode last year.
Yeah, been there, done that.
And I was telling Sam earlier this week that I think the Veganuary thing, that a lot of content creators and podcasters and whatnot, it seems like people feel obligated to create content surrounded by the word Veganuary. And I don't know. It's starting to feel a little creepy to me, you know?
So you feel like Veganuary is almost becoming obligatory?
Yeah, not only is it becoming obligatory, but it's not, it's becoming just a thing that people say and not a thing that people do.
It's just become a hashtag.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's just becoming a hashtag.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
And I don't know if you are familiar with the work because Veganuary is actually an institution. They are a nonprofit institution called Veganuary. Mm-hmm. And they do take polls and everything throughout the month of January. At the end of each year, they do release all of the facts and figures from all of the people that they poll. Now, granted, it's not a huge showing of people that they poll. It's something like 1,500 people.
Okay.
That they poll. And all of the work that they do and the money that is made by them and for them, they don't really seem to be having terrific results.
Okay.
As far as converting people to veganism and making them stay vegan.
Well, I mean, and I think that that's perhaps where the idea of Veganuary goes a little bit wrong. The idea of just do it for a month.
Right. And that's what it is. It's supposed to be a 30-day challenge. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's just, it lacks something for me. And like Sam said,
I can agree with that.
It's become a hashtag. So anyway, I'm rambling and we don't have time to ramble. We're already an hour 10 or something like that. So what I thought we would do, our main topic, is we're going to just talk about some ways that we can contribute to the vegan movement in 2024 and moving forward. Some things that we can do to help improve our veganism, to encourage other people to go vegan. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, and the first question I wanted to ask and hopefully answer a little bit is, how can we help support the vegan movement?
There are really an infinite number of ways to support the vegan movement. It can involve promoting awareness, sharing information on plant-based alternatives, engaging in positive conversations about the benefits of a vegan lifestyle. Additionally, advocating for sustainable and cruelty-free practices in various industries contributes to the cause. So really, that's number one, sharing information and raising awareness in whatever way you can do that, whether it's through social media, whether it's starting a podcast of your own, whether it's through a blog or any other form of writing. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are some ways that we can just become better vegans in 2024. Oh, did I tell you what our slogan is?
Herbivore in 24.
That's right.
Go
herbivore in 2024.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and last year's was, okay, Bosco, please. Bosco. Stop messing with that. So 2023 was go animal free in 2023.
It's true.
Yeah.
It was.
The next question we're going to answer or ask and possibly answer is, how can we help animals in the animal agriculture industry?
And again, lots of things to do here. And I think it's a good thing to remember that by kind of looking at these individual questions from here on out, how can we help animals in the animal agriculture industry? How do we convince people to go vegan, et cetera, that those are all also means of supporting the vegan movement because it's all interconnected. So how can we help animals in the animal agriculture industry? Well, the best thing you can do is to choose plant-based alternatives, support cruelty-free products, and advocate for improved animal welfare standards. Additionally, raising awareness about the conditions in factory farms and supporting organizations working toward humane treatment of animals can make a positive impact. But seriously, the best thing you can do here is to stop eating meat.
Stop eating animal products. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. How can we convince people to go vegan? That's the eternal question.
It is the eternal question. And I think, we've addressed this in a couple of ways in different episodes. And I think number one is really to know who you're talking to.
Right.
When you're talking to someone about veganism. Okay. Number one, I would suggest don't go into it with the idea of convincing someone to go vegan.
Right.
Yeah. It's not a sales pitch. What you really want to do is just share information about the health, environmental, and ethical benefits of a plant-based or vegan lifestyle. Give them access to resources, recipes, address their concerns, like if they are concerned about protein or they're concerned about iron or concerned about B12. Mm-hmm. Share your knowledge of how to address those things and lead with your own positive experiences. The most important thing here is to make sure that those conversations remain open and respectful, focusing on the positive aspects of veganism and also acknowledging that the person that you are talking to has the absolute right to make their own choices, that you may not agree with their choices, but they are in fact theirs to make.
That's true. And if you're interested in more ways to discuss veganism with people, Earthling Ed Winters on his website has a free downloadable guide on how to do just that.
Yep.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful packet of information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want to go into it with the idea that you're trying to turn someone to your side of the argument.
Yeah.
That
doesn't work.
It doesn't work in general. And you also have to, again, know who you're talking to.
Right.
If, you're talking to someone that is an animal lover, then by all means, the animal welfare, animal liberation side of the coin might be the best argument.
Yeah.
If you're talking to someone who has health concerns, who maybe is diabetic or who has had cardiovascular issues or has high blood pressure or anything like that, then the health benefits might be the way to go. Mm-hmm. If it's someone who would actively refer to themselves as an environmentalist, mm-hmm. then the environmental arguments, maybe that's the way to go. Because not everybody is going to jump on every train.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can. It's not a one size fits all kind of situation.
It's not. So you got to pick the train that you think they're most likely to buy a ticket for.
Yeah, I like that.
Thanks.
The next question we are asking and hopefully answering a little bit is, how can we live more compassionate lives?
I actually think that this is the most important question on the list because I really believe that this hits the core of the vegan ethic. That first and foremost, as vegans, we are committing to compassionate lives. And that compassion is not just for the animals who are stuck in the industrial animal agriculture complex, mm-hmm. but also for our fellow human animals,
right?
For ourselves. And so I think this is just profoundly important. The best thing that we can do, number one, is to consider the impact of our choices on others, whether that's other people or other animals or the environment or on our own health. Along with that, we want to cultivate understanding and tolerance, actively engage in acts of kindness, and support causes that are aligned with a compassionate view of the world. Small gestures such as volunteering, reducing waste, choosing ethical products, all of these things contribute to creating a more compassionate lifestyle. But I really do think that number one is considering your impact, the impact that your choices make.
Yeah. Okay, I'll buy that.
Thank you.
And last, but certainly not least, we're asking the question how we can remain hopeful in a non-vegan world. It's easy to lose hope.
You know, it's funny because I actually disagree.
Okay.
I do. I've honestly become more hopeful about the state of the world since becoming vegan. And sure, there are plenty of things that are of serious concern.
Yeah.
I'm not dismissing those things
Right.
by any stretch of the imagination, but going vegan and acknowledging that, you know, just by making that choice every day, and maybe perhaps also choosing to be mindful of the other choices that I make in my interactions with people, in just how I move through the world in general, reminds me to look at things as positively as possible. And to remember that even though, yes, terrible things happen, whether to us individually or to us societally or even globally, that honestly, we, and by we right now, I'm meaning you and I,
Okay.
and the people that we are surrounded with, are very fortunate.
We are.
And that
Yeah.
we have the ability to use that fortunateness, or dare I use the word privilege, because it is privilege, for the good of others. And that makes me hopeful. That maybe out there are a whole lot of other people, because we know that there are a whole lot of other people out there in the world doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Taking the resources and the passion and the energy and, yes, the privilege that they have
Yeah.
to do good for others.
Yeah. Amazingly, though, they keep releasing year after year after year that vegans still only make up 1% of the population in the United States of America.
That may be.
It's crazy to me. It seems like that number has to be growing. But every year they release the same number, 1%.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
I don't either.
I mean, it could be, you know, that for a lot of people it's an on again, off again.
Maybe that's it. People fall off and
You know, I mean, a student that was on the trip to London was eating a lot of vegan food while they were there. And they identify largely as vegetarian,
okay.
but a vegetarian who occasionally eats chicken.
Okay, that's
You
not,
know, and no, we can get into the semantics and
Right.
all of that, but
Yeah.
still, I applauded the fact that they were eating a lot of vegan food while they were
yeah,
there.
I mean, that's all you can do is encourage people.
That's right.
Right?
Exactly. Because again, those decisions are theirs to make.
It's true,
Yes.
whether we like them or not.
The choice is not the people.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, we like the people, whether we agree with their choices
That's right.
or not.
Exactly.
We do have to respect their right to make choices for themselves,
Indeed, we do.
even if they're the wrong choice.
Right. And a good thing to remember is that change takes time. And in a lot of cases, change takes a long time.
Yeah.
But every conscious choice we make makes a difference. So it's a good idea to engage in communities that support your values. I know how great we feel whenever we get a day or two around our Buffalo vegan community or our Rochester vegan community or our Syracuse vegan community, and to stay informed about positive developments in the vegan movement.
Yeah.
That should help maintain a sense of optimism, even when sometimes it feels like we're not making as much progress as we would
Yeah,
like.
I have to agree with that. I think spending any kind of time with the vegan community or doing any kind of volunteer work within the vegan community definitely boosts your hopefulness.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are just a few questions I wanted to ask and a little bit answer for some ways that we can going forward in 2024 become better vegans,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Be your best vegan.
Be your best vegan. That's right. Go herbivore in 2024. That's right. Oh man. Hey, that brings us to something along the same lines is a helpful fact to encourage you to go vegan and stay vegan. And what is today's helpful fact?
Well, today's helpful fact, and this deviates a little bit from the theme that we've been going towards with this. It's been more human-centered.
Yes.
This time, though, we're going to talk about the fact that cows are sentient individuals. And I would like to say not only cows, but every animal, every creature on this earth is sentient.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but today we're focusing on cows.
We're focusing on the cows today.
And you gotta love cows. I just love cows. Like many non-human animals, cows have long been portrayed as nothing more than a commodity with little understanding of the world around them. At the same time, cows as a species have largely been left out of studies into sentience and cognitive capabilities. However, emerging research indicates that not only are cows self-aware, but maintain a dynamic and varied emotional daily life, which can include excitement, calmness, frustration, loneliness, and fear, to name a few. Cows recognize one another, they can hold grudges, and they get nervous to the point that their milk production decreases. They've been known to remember other animals after being separated for years. Farmhouse Garden Animal Home is a sanctuary near Toronto, Canada. It was established after a multi-generational cattle rancher grew close to a calf who was destined for slaughter. This ultimately led to a change of heart that has since saved dozens of animals' lives. Over our last 8 years operating as a sanctuary, we have met many people who view cows as food animals with no feelings or emotions. Our visitors very quickly learn that each animal has a unique personality, likes and dislikes, and friends in the herd. The sanctuary tells us, adding that most cows on farms never get the chance to show their true personalities.
Yeah, and if you've ever been around cows on a sanctuary farm, you can totally see their personality.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long. But I mean, it's very similar to, I'm sure you've heard, we have a small herd of cats in our house.
Yeah.
And they are so distinctive in their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
They are so individualistic. They each have their quirks and their foibles, and they're just awesome. Just like cows, just like humans.
Yeah.
It's really kind of identical.
Yeah, just like every living being on this planet.
So yeah, remember, cows and every other creature on the planet, sentient beings. They're just like us. They just look different.
Yeah, they have lives they want to live. They have loves and fears and hopes and all that jazz.
Personalities.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's time for our favorite part of the show.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
Wait a minute. It's still going? I seem to remember that you told me
We're running
that it was
out.
going to be the end of listener shout out time.
Well, it would have been had I not received an email just last week.
From Dave Jazowski.
That's right.
Yes. Now, Dave is a new listener to the show, and he recently emailed us to say he was listening, and he had some really useful feedback. So we want to thank you, Dave, both for your wonderful feedback and for listening at all.
Yeah, and for sending us that email, because that's the only way we know that people are listening and that we're not screaming into a void or a vacuum.
Are we screaming? Are we really screaming?
You know what I mean.
Well, yeah.
And we're not talking into a vacuum, is when we receive emails from you.
Yeah.
So if you listen and you haven't emailed us, please email us. I want to hear that you listen, and I want to know who you are.
Yeah, and we do love the feedback.
We do. So yeah, thanks again for listening, Dave. And contact us with your t-shirt size and address so we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag.
You can do that by emailing us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or DMing Christine on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, and if you out there want a listener shout out,
And why wouldn't you?
just do what I told you. Email us or DM us and let us know that you listen to the show and tell us a little bit about yourself.
And that brings us to our vegan org of the week. This week we are celebrating In Defense of Animals. Their mission is to defend animals, humans, and the environment from abuses and exploitation and to foster peace between all life. They advocate for changes in laws, human behavior, and enlightenment in the need to protect lives, advance rights, improve welfare, and steward environmental protection. They adopt a worldview that honors the rights and interests of all animals, human and non-human alike, as reflected by and achieved through their unique combination of cruelty investigations, legislative initiatives, public pressure and awareness campaigns, activist support, and direct rescue of vulnerable animals worldwide. While their perspective and ultimate goals are revolutionary, they play an essential role advancing incremental change to help to alleviate animal suffering here and now. To find out more or to get involved, go to idausa.org.
And we'll include a link to that in the show notes. It's time to wrap this baby up.
Is it me or this one felt a little long?
A little long. We're at, before editing, we're at an hour 31 right now.
Oh, so. That's not awful.
No, I thought we were going to go 2 hours.
Sorry.
But we didn't. We didn't.
All my fault.
But you know what? Hey, like I said, people can listen to it in shifts.
Okay.
So we're going to wrap it up. So as not to take up any more of your valuable time. As always, we encourage you to join the AFA Vegan Voter Hub and support them in any way that you can, because the Agriculture Fairness Alliance is lobbying in Washington, D.C. on our behalf so that our vegan voices are heard. If you want to be included in that conversation, join the Vegan Voter Hub. We always include the link in our show notes.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You've just listened to episode 121 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Thanks, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
The end.
If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our Vegan Kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.